Peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of Boss Hijabipreneur. Women often appear to suffer from the misconception that to be successful in business or accepted in society, they have to diminish or denounce their faith or beliefs. As a business coach, I have encountered women cross culturally who face internal conflict regarding their religious identity, maintaining their family roles, and being their most authentic selves. I developed this podcast to help guide them back to reclaiming their faith, better define their roles as women so they can own their identity, live their absolute best life, and be a powerhouse in business. Let's tune in to today's episode, already in progress. Welcome back to the Boss Hijabipreneur podcast. As you know, in 2020, we're focused on faith, family, and finances. We have found that our clients and the women that follow and listen to us find these three areas the most important in their lives. We have coined this month Get Fit February. We're focusing on our physical and mental and financial health this month. In our upcoming episodes, and our guests will give us tips, tools, and strategies on how to win in these key areas. Each of these areas is an amana, a trust given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which will be asked about when we meet him. How did you spend your wealth, your youth, etc.? My goal this year is to help as many women this year rise to the occasion and start a business, give birth to a dream or two, go next level with their projects and business. The halal industry alone is valued at about $3 trillion, according to a 2017-2018 global report, and growing by 20% every single year. Segments include halal food, halal pharmaceuticals, halal cosmetics, halal travel, halal media and recreation, and Islamic finance, which includes real estate and modest fashion. Plenty of opportunities for boss hijabis just like you to grow a thriving business. Many of the women we've invited to our podcast think so too. And so today, we welcome our guest, Kim Mason, who is a real estate investor and serial entrepreneur. Welcome, Kim. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah, I'm doing so good, and I'm so excited to be on here with you all today.
I love it. Girl, I'm so excited to have you. So just tell us a little bit more about yourself so our listener can, just get to know you a little bit better if they haven't encountered you before.
Okay. So as Halima mentioned, my name is Kim, and I'm actually a new convert to Islam. I've
Mashallah,
been
Mabruk.
Muslim now. Yes, alhamdulillah. I've been Muslim now for about 2.5 years. And alhamdulillah, it was a really good transition for me.
Mm-hmm.
So prior to me coming into the fold of Islam, I have been in business already for myself for about, I guess at this point, maybe like 6 or 7 years.
Mashallah.
And I'm also a wife. Me and my husband, we have 6 children together. Total, we have a blended family. And one of the things that I think I was a little fearful of initially was, fully covering how will the business world receive me.
Mm-hmm.
We already have so many hurdles as women anyway in the business world.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, here I am about to add another layer, right?
Yes.
And you worry about that when you build a platform, you
Mm-hmm.
build a clientele, and then all of a sudden it's a major switch, and we can't ignore the elephant in the room, right?
Right.
But I went ahead and did it anyway, and because I wanted to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And business has been great. My life is still flourishing, alhamdulillah. And I transitioned over from the direct sales industry over into real estate because I was just ready to build something that had my family's name on it versus being kind of like the spokesperson for someone else's brand. And although it was good money, it wasn't legacy to me. So I made the decision last year to walk away from a 6-figure income that I was really comfortable with. And just, like I always do, just walk in faith and just know that, if you have that gut feeling and you've made dua about it, then Allah will open up all the doors that are supposed to be open to you. So that's just a little bit about me.
I'm sorry, sis, but you came in swinging, okay? You kicked the door in, okay? And I'm going to tell you that I had like a recent conversation, like in the last couple of days, about what you just said. And what you just said was you walked away from a six-figure income to pursue something that had your family's name on it and would leave a legacy. I just want you to talk a little bit about, and we're not downing, any of these network marketing companies or anything like that. That's not what we're doing here. But I just wanted you to dive a little bit deeper into the difference between, kind of, coming up under the umbrella of, another company and then creating your own. So just talk to us a little bit about that, and then just, kind of what you want women to get from you making that transition. What do you want them to see in that?
I just want them to see, and I have nothing against some people, that is what they want to do, and
Yes.
that's their field, and that's the way that they change lives. And so,
Mm-hmm.
again, I'm not ever going to come down on the way that someone decides to make a living, to make an impact or a change or a difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for me, and what I feel I was called to do, I realized that number one, that it was my influence that I was bringing to these companies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that people weren't buying into the company, they were bought into me, they believed in me. No matter where I go, those people would go.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was team building or clientele or customers,
Mm-hmm.
they would follow me wherever I went. And I realized that I had a responsibility, not just to my family, but also to the people who do follow me and who
Mm-hmm.
believe in me, to do something I felt was making a true impact on my community.
I love it, sis. Yes, yes. And so, first of all, just watching you and, just watching you do what you do, you're a great storyteller. And that's why you're a great marketer. You know what I mean? I think people lose that too. So one of my passion areas is marketing. So I love watching you work too.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, mashallah, mashallah, says get it, get it, get it. So you have to be a great storyteller. And the cool thing about, being alive and being a woman and being, just a boss hijabi in business right now is that we have so many tools at our ready. And so one of those
Yes.
tools is social media. And so,
Yes.
as you said, you're utilizing your social media in so many different ways, to tell a story about, you being an amazing wife and mother, you being an amazing woman in business, and then, you being, an influencer, if you will. And I think I want to take the negative connotation away from influencer, because I feel that you can positively influence people's lives on social media. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, this whole podcast is just about kind of flipping those stereotypes that people have in so many different ways. But
Yes.
I really want to ask you this. You transition, as you said, from network marketing and from thriving companies. So what made you choose real estate, and why should someone who is either following you or wants to come up under you, why become an agent, an investor, or a homeowner? Why should they do any of those things? You can pick one, or you can pick all three.
I'll talk and hit on all three.
Sure.
Well, first and foremost, I believe that before you set out to do something, you should look to see what is the need for
Mm-hmm.
this thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way that I set out to, when I look to how I'm going to make impact, I look at the need that it is for humanity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And real estate serves a basic human necessity, which is shelter.
Mm-hmm.
We know that it's never going to disappear, because as long as we are here, we're going to need shelter.
Yep.
And so for me, that's a surefire business model and plan, is to go into real estate. And so that's one of the reasons why I chose it. It's one of the great ways to invest your money and to almost guarantee that it's going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I personally became an agent, everyone has different goals
Mm-hmm.
as to why they became an agent, but why I feel others should become an agent. Because here's the thing, even if you don't want to be a full-time agent, everybody has a family member that's going to buy a house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's say you, right,
Mm-hmm.
join a brokerage that gives you 100% commission,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you have, with between your coworkers, you're on social media, use it. It's free.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A coworker, maybe one coworker, somebody refers somebody who refers somebody, a family member, a friend. Let's just say in a whole year, you bring 4 families to closing.
Mm-hmm.
That's anywhere typically on average between $5,000 and $10,000 commission.
Yeah.
What would that do for your family wealth? What would that do for, your family or even your community if
Mm-hmm.
you had an additional, $20,000 to $40,000?
Yes. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so I just feel like, because we all know someone who's going to purchase a home, right? If you are looking for a way to make additional income and you're not looking for the quick return, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then
Mm-hmm.
why not become an agent if you're not afraid to open your mouth, if you're not afraid to put yourself out there? And as far as investing goes, if you are a homeowner, you're an investor.
Yes.
If you're a homeowner, you're an investor. You now have an investment,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even if it's just that one home, or even if you're just a homeowner who has one home and you wanted to upgrade and buy a new home, and maybe you're just renting out the other one, right? To
Mm-hmm.
cover the first mortgage.
Yep.
You are now an investor. You have an investment property. And I think that people should become homeowners, because now you have an asset to be able to pull out equity should you want to start a business.
Can leverage it. Absolutely.
Yes, it is
Mm-hmm.
now it is now your tool to be your own bank.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that is why real estate is so near and dear to my heart, because it is a way to give you and your family options.
I love it. I love it. And I love what just the very last thing that you said, which is to give your family options. And the reason why I love that is I'm huge on, especially, as women of faith and Muslim women, I feel like a lot of times, I said this a few episodes back, is that a lot of times we may choose a spouse. We may choose, just a condition or situation,
Mm-hmm.
just to be real,
Yeah.
because we're in a situation where, what I mean, we don't have the money or the means to be able to provide for ourselves and possibly
Yeah.
our children that we are rearing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, getting into real estate, having a property, having some investments under your belt, and God forbid, Allah forbid, you run into hard times, you can leverage that. And as you said, you can use the equity in your home either to purchase another home, or you can use
Mm-hmm.
the equity in your home to start some type of business. I did that with a cleaning business that I started about almost 15 years ago, mashallah. Oops, telling my age, right? Mashallah. But I did that. I just took the money out, I flipped it, and, I created a 6-figure business from, taking out some money, from a home and just flipped it. And so, I love, 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 that you're using real estate as, kind of like a mini empire builder, right? So
Mm-hmm.
and just giving a woman options. So I just really wanted to just put that out there. And
Mm-hmm.
so, speaking of women and coupled together with real estate, so I've interviewed probably about 3 people on our podcast, and now you are the 4th woman in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
As a woman, what sets you apart in real estate? Like, what makes you different than any other sister that's in real estate? And the reason why I'm asking this question is, one, of course, to highlight you, but then the second is to get a woman that's possibly listening and thinking of going into real estate, that there is something about her too that sets her apart from another woman or Muslim woman that is in real estate.
Yes, I think that that's a great question, because one of the things that tends to hold people back is this illusion that everyone's doing it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that it may be oversaturated, which would, make you encounter some business challenges and difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that's a great question. I think what sets me apart personally is my aspect of how I serve others,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I think your niche of how and who you serve. And that's
Mm-hmm.
so important. I think when people go into real estate, they just think, I'm going to sell everybody and their mama a house, right?
That's deep, sis. Get into it. Yes.
Yeah. And I think, and that's naturally what people think. That's naturally, I'm going to sell you. And that's the wrong way to go about it, because the best and most profitable business models and businesses are the ones that really narrow and focus in on what their niche is.
Mm-hmm. So
And
true. Mm-hmm.
and that sets you apart. That
Yes.
sets you apart, because now you're just not an agent like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
You're Kim the covered agent, or you're,
Yes.
like people will start to know you. So because you focus in on your niche, people are gonna, it's gonna make you rise up above the masses, because
Mm-hmm.
now you're unique.
Yes.
So I
I
think that each agent has to figure out what their lane is and
mm-hmm.
how they put themselves out there as to who and how they're going to serve.
Yeah, you know what? I wholeheartedly agree with you. And again, like you're killing the game, and I know you're going to just, inshallah, it's going to be 100-fold because, you come from a marketing background, and also that you understand that you have to niche down. And, just coming from a marketing background, just being in hijab is actually an asset. It's a tool that you can use. And again, just like you said, it sets you apart from the rest. It's like, okay, this is the territory that I cover. Oh, it's the hijab, it's the woman that wears hijab. That's
Mm-hmm.
who my agent is. And
Mm-hmm.
immediately people will be like, oh, Kim, you know what
Yeah,
I mean? So
exactly.
I
I'm
think it's
not hard to
wonderful.
find.
No. The other thing, a red lipstick. You know what I mean? If
Yes.
you are known for, like, a pop of red lipstick. When I first started BUNHD, you never caught me without a pink hijab, a hot pink hijab. I
Yes.
had that hijab in like every shade, flowers, dots, whatever. But, I made
Yes.
sure that it was signature so that people, knew who I was. They knew, what my company stood for, etc. So, yeah, I think that we need to start understanding that the things that make us unique actually make us, more powerful as well. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And are an asset to us. So, where do you
Yes.
see yourself going from here? So, coming from a different industry, about a year and a half in or so, into real estate, where do you see yourself going from here?
So my goal with real estate is just to really build capital,
Mm-hmm.
so that I can build other businesses that impact my community. So I haven't shared this, so this is an exclusive.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I love it.
But I also want to create a lifestyle line.
Love it.
So many people just inbox me and message me about literally like how I do life.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I just enjoy doing just as a hobby is fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to first, because you have to focus in on that niche, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would love to start an online boutique,
Mm-hmm.
just showing pieces that I would wear that are modest, because I get that question 1,000 times a day. Where'd you get that? Where do you shop?
Mm-hmm. I love it. Mm-hmm.
And so I want to create something, because I'm gonna be honest, sometimes I don't find one place that has things that I like. I have to go to a lot of non-Islamic places and sift through modest things and kind of piece stuff together. But I want to create a one-stop shop that not only if you're Muslim, but if you're just modest,
I love
that
it.
you can come there, you can shop. And I think that it's very important. I feel like it's taboo and it's not discussed.
Mm-hmm.
But Muslim women want to feel pretty too. It doesn't
Absolutely.
mean that we want to display our beauty and haram police and blah blah blah, right?
Yes.
We get it, right?
Yes.
But within covering,
Mm-hmm.
we still cannot lose ourselves,
Yes.
right? And I want to create a space that is still halal,
Mm-hmm.
but we feel beautiful. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's like, I remember converting over and me saying like, no offense to anybody, but I'm not Saudi Arabian. Like, this stuff
Right.
is
I
not
hear
my
you.
style.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
this stuff is not my style. Or I'm not from Pakistan. I'm not
Yes.
Pakistani. I don't want jewels all over me everywhere.
I hear you.
That's not my style.
Yes.
And so I want to create something that is for everybody, but more for the modern American Muslim, because I feel like our culture
Mm-hmm.
gets watered down,
Absolutely.
and it gets kind of overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
American and specifically also African American
Mm-hmm.
culture kind of gets like, oh no, you're Muslim now, you have to be Arabic. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I'm actually African American.
Mm-hmm. I
So I want to create something that really makes us feel good covering,
I love it.
if that makes sense.
No, it does. And here's what I'm going to say, and through my lens. So my lens comes from the whole hijab experience, everything not without my hijab, right? So
Yes.
from my lens, though, I see exactly what you're talking about. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I said in this episode, and you just gave me the layup, mashallah, is that, the way that we cover, the way that our hijab looks, the colors that we wear. And when I say hijab, I don't just mean the khimar that you wear on your head. I'm talking
Yes.
about from the head all the way down to the feet, is
Mm-hmm.
dictated by where we come from. So,
Yes.
it not only does it say, hey, I'm from, America, or I'm from Saudi Arabia, or I'm from Pakistan, wherever the case may be, but it also even tells us what state we're from once we're in the United States. The way
Yes.
someone wraps a hijab or the way they wear
Mm-hmm.
their abaya, exactly which.
Because you know a Philly
Yeah,
girl when you see her coming.
listen, I was trying not to say Philly, but you know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Listen, I get my stuff from Philly. So,
Yes.
so like I'll joke with my friends, like, oh girl, I'm walking out here looking Muslim
Yeah.
today.
Mashallah, Philly for sure. Philly for sure. Make sure that they put their stamp on things. So yeah,
Yes.
Philly, I'm gonna tell you, Philly is probably they've got it down. And
Yes.
a close second is Newark, New Jersey. I would be
Yes.
remiss if I didn't big up my
Yes.
sisters in Newark, New Jersey. They, mashallah, and this is coming from a New Yorker.
Yeah.
But I lived both in New Jersey and Philly. So yes, mashallah.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it. First of all, dua sis, may Allah grant you tawfiq in, everything that you are working to put forth. And I think, lifestyle, brand, you're gonna kill the game, sis. So anyone who's listening, make sure you look out for Kim Mason, make sure you hold her to it. That she comes out, with some bomb, outfits for us to go ahead and take a look at and partake in. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to look for that from you. So, and you just gave us really one reason, why, and I forgot to say but you gave us one reason to consider going into, real estate investing. And I feel like everyone is a real estate investor, just like you said, even if they're, a homeowner, whether they're an agent or an actual investor themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
give us, a couple of more reasons why you feel women should go into real estate investing.
Outside of what we already mentioned, that it's a great way to build wealth and
Mm-hmm.
to give your family options, but representation.
Mm-hmm.
Representation. I think that it's really important that other women see other women doing things.
Mm-hmm.
It is human behavior that most people are followers, right? And
Mm-hmm.
until someone steps up and shows that it can be done, right, then
Yes.
people kind of sit in the belief that it cannot because they haven't seen it. And for many, seeing is believing. And the only way to really start to get that movement going in massive numbers is through representation.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that more women, especially women in hijab,
Yes.
getting out there and being, because let me tell you something, I go into a room and I'm okay with going into a room being the only woman in hijab. It's
Mm-hmm.
usually almost always that way
Yep.
when I'm in a business arena,
Absolutely.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I almost have to introduce myself twice. My hijab introduces me first,
Yes.
and people then have an idea of me before I open my mouth.
Yes.
And then they have a second idea of me. I have to reintroduce myself and say, no, actually, like
Right.
you'll be so surprised. People, like random people, I'll speak. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason why I say my hijab introduces me first,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll give you an example of this, is that many times when I'm out in the public, I'll go to speak to someone, and the person, you don't know how many times I've heard people say, "Oh, your English is really good."
Ooh.
And I'm quick, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
always I love a good joke, and I'll look at them and I say, "Wow, so is yours."
You know what? You're faster than I am, because my face would have said what you actually said out your mouth, because I would have just gave them the look like, what? But
I'm like, it's, I speak a little bit of Arabic. Like I can make my prayers, I can
yes.
greet you, but I'm like, English is the only thing that I speak right now. So it better be good.
yes. Yes.
But so my hijab speaks for me before I do. And people
Absolutely.
already have an idea of me before I ever get to introduce myself, shake a
Mm-hmm.
hand, or open my mouth. So I think that having more representation will show people that women in hijab are not women who, are only wives, stay-at-home moms. Like, we're smart, we're innovative, we're business women. We care on a lot. Many people don't know that even if women don't work a 9 to 5 or go into someone's office, that many Muslim wives and women have home businesses. Like, we have other hats and roles that we wear, but unless people know that, they don't know. So representation is very important. So I would love to see more women, and namely more women in hijab, coming out into the real estate investing world, and us getting together and doing webinars and teaching other people and reaching back to our communities, husband and wives, and, or just single women. Single women, they don't have to be married. Yes. Single Muslim women are also out here in the business arena killing it. And just that representation would be really great.
I love it. I love it. And I love what you're saying, just, and I love doing this podcast because I feel like, it's highlighting that, for years, and this is me included, my hijab was hidden. Sometimes I didn't wear it at all. For the exact same reason that you just said, which was that I didn't think that I was going to be taken seriously. Was I going to get that multi-million-dollar contract in hijab? And, 20 plus years ago, the answer may have either been no, or I would have had to fight very hard. Whereas today we don't have that. Today, it's not that our hijab is accepted, but we have a lot more laws that are protecting us. We have a lot more people that are willing to fight that fight for us, where we don't have to fight it for ourselves. 3 years ago when I left my corporate job, I actually left my corporate job because of my hijab. I worked in the finance industry. And so, clients would come in and they would see the hijab and they would go, oh. So, what I did is I, came out of the corporate world to kind of work at it from the other side, and to get more women, being in, the, kind of in like, not the ruler's chair, but you get what I mean, but kind of being in that seat where they're dictating, the plays. When it's our own business, we have more ownership, and, we can dictate a little bit differently. And so I like what you said also. And, I just want to, just further nail the point home, is that as Muslim women, we have depth. We are extremely intelligent. When you look at, who owns student loan debt in this country, majority of it comes from not only women, but women of color. And then to add on to it are actually Muslim women are the most educated women in the United States, and possibly in the world. So I know for sure in the United States, but we're diving into the world as well. So and just to also say this. A lot of times, you see the man as the man is the head and he is the one who owns the business. But in most cases, it's the wife that is running the business behind the doors. You just
that
don't
is
see
so
her.
True.
Yeah.
So true. So true.
So I love it. So if we could give, a real estate investors, a new investor, a place to start, can you give us 5 real estate investing tips, and just where do you think a new investor should start?
So this is all kind of going to depend on your funds and your network, right?
Okay.
But when I read over that question, I thought I wanted to speak to the person starting from scratch with little to no resources, because that's the majority of people, right? So I don't want to go over anybody's head or sounds like, what, that's a lot, and I don't know if I can do that, right? So what I would like to focus on today for you guys is wholesaling. I chose wholesaling as my starting and main point for investing. And here's why. I really do my best to stay away from the major things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells me to stay away from.
Mashallah.
And one of those things is interest.
Yes.
And we know that we live in the United States. It says we'll get to a point where we won't be able to avoid a dusting, right? We are in those times.
Yes.
It's hard to live in the United States without some type. If you have a savings account, you get in some type of dividend.
Yes, you're right.
Whether you want to or not, even if it's $1, it's coming your way. So it's very hard to avoid, and you just have to do your best. But the reason why I love wholesaling so much is because you're not into anything of financing. So, and I'll explain what wholesaling is to those who have no idea what it is. So when you become a wholesaler, basically what you're doing is you are being paid a finder's fee. That's it. Okay. So what a wholesaler does, your main job is to find homeowners who, for one reason or another, would like to sell their home. Now, they typically don't want to put it on the market because either they won't get what the value is, or it'll take too long to sell, or they really desperately need the money right now. Some reason that they want to get rid of the house sooner than later. It's a pain point for them. Okay. Many properties become a pain point for people. And so your job is to find those homeowners and negotiate a contract with them. And now you own the equitable interest in that home. You do not own the home, but you own the equitable interest. You own the contract over that home now. Once you are in contract with that homeowner. Now, what you will do is you'll take that contract and you will market that contract around to cash buyers who are also investors. And those people, you'll basically let them bid if you have a good investors list. And it goes to the best bidder, and then you take those people then to closing. Once the house goes to closing, you are paid your finder's fee. I've seen finder's fees as low as $3,000. I've seen finder's fees as high as over $80,000.
I love it. I love it. You know what? I love how you explained it. Like, literally, like, okay, so wholesaling has been around for a while, but it wasn't necessarily something that was known, like was as publicly known as it is now. It's not a word that you just found in regular conversation. And I'll just being transparent, up until even about 5 or 6 years ago, nobody heard of it. That's one. And then the second thing was people was like, well, how can that be? Is this a scam? How can that be? And the answer is no. And so first of all, Kim, you spelled it out like so plainly, like anyone can get started in it. And if you could just, give us even, what is there an amount of money that you need, a bare minimum amount of money to get started wholesaling? Because I want someone to be able to walk away from listening to this podcast episode and be able to say, okay, I'm going to go find XYZ amount of dollars and I'm going to go become, a wholesaler.
So I would say realistically, a minimum of at least $500 you should try to have. To get your foot in the door. And the reason being is, number one, you're going to need some earnest money cash to give to that homeowner. You need some consideration for your contract to be legally binding. Okay. But it doesn't have to be the 500. I don't recommend you doing the 500. Maybe it's $100, and that makes it a legally binding contract in the state that you're in. And so on top of that, you'll want to take the other money to invest in some systems that help you to find the numbers, the contact information of those homeowners, because you're going to have to sift through. You may want to spend a little bit of money on marketing, like maybe text ad campaigns. Once you have the numbers, you may want to buy some signs. They call them bandit signs. Everybody's seen them. We buy houses cash, right?
Yes.
You may want to invest in putting some of those around areas in your city. And the best place to start is your own backyard. Like, people get so overwhelmed, but there's literally a house in your neighborhood right now and someone wants to get rid of that house and they don't have the means to, because maybe they don't have the money for the repairs, or maybe it's an inheritance, or maybe they're about to go into pre-foreclosure. And you have the ability to stop that simply by finding out how much equity they have in the home. And that's the key. You can't do this if the home doesn't have any equity. There needs to be enough margin for that cash buyer to make a return on their investment, of course, and for you to be paid your finder's fee. So that's the key. Once you find these people, you need to also be making sure that there's equity enough in that home for it to be a deal. Because if there's there, the point of all of this is to make money. And if you're not
Yes.
making any money, then there is no deal.
Yes.
So these are 5 things that I would tell you to do to get started outside of having the money. Number 1, YouTube University. Education.
Yes.
It's free. It's free. And every step that I'm telling you, even more so in detail, you can literally find on YouTube. But step 2 that I would give, or point 2 that I would give, is once you sift through YouTube, find somebody that resonates with you and get you a free mentor.
Yes.
They can be your mentor on YouTube. Most people who have wholesaling programs give you free game on YouTube before you ever invest in their program, enough for you to actually at least get your first deal. And once you have some cash under your belt now, then you can start to invest more in your business, maybe hire a mentor and things like that. But before you do, those first 2 points will literally get you off the ground and give your business wings. Step number 3 is obviously you have to find the homeowners. One thing that you can do for free in wholesaling to find homeowners is something that they call drive for dollars. You can literally drive around in your own backyard and find homes that look distressed. The grass is overgrown. The mail, is
hanging out the mailbox.
The house looks tore down. It looks physically like it's beat up and needs repair. That it may or may not be a deal, but that is a sign, or it's a red flag to put that address down and to find those people. Now, there are free ways to find those people. You can go to your county executive office. There are so many different ways that you can look people up, right? And then there's also software, which is where that $500 will come in. There's software that they have up there that you can literally look people up and get all of their information. And they usually give you several supporting family members' information too.
Nice.
The 4th thing that I would recommend is to build your investor list. All of these things should be done kind of simultaneously, because one of the worst things that you want to do is get a house and you don't have a buyer. Right?
Yeah.
And so if you really want to work smart, the best thing to do is to reverse engineer your steps.
Yes, sis, you don't even know this. If they do not get what they need from this episode, I don't know what to tell them. I don't know what to tell them. You are literally giving them the game. This is $1 million worth of game on this episode. I pray, that I'm just going to stop for a second and I'm going to let you just keep firing away, Kim. That get your pen and your pencil pad, whatever it is, out. Go back and replay this portion of the episode, and then make sure you share this episode with like 10 people. And then make sure you connect with Kim. Mashallah. Go ahead.
Alhamdulillah. So you want to reverse engineer your steps. And the reason why I say that is because, for example, one of the last things that you need to have is a buyer. But if you kind of start with the end in mind, then you can say, you know what, let me make sure that I, because now I can go to the investors and you can ask the investors, what type of houses are you willing to spend cash on? Now that goes back to the beginning of our conversation when we started this podcast, is locking down on your niche.
Yes.
What would you rather do? Drive around for hours, aimlessly looking for houses, and you don't really know what to look for? Or you have cash buyers, and here's what they say they would drop the cash on today if you had that house. Now I'm going out with a purpose, and I really encourage you, do not move without a purpose.
I know that's right.
You will cut down time waste and increase your time management if you just learn how to move with a purpose and be more calculating with your moves.
I love it, sis. I'm telling you, and the only reason why I'm saying this is because, I've done this. I've had properties. I have, properties. Me and my ex-husband, we went around looking for properties, and you said, do not go out without a purpose, man. Those first few years we were going out without a purpose.
You learn real fast. You like, listen, something's not right here. Is this supposed to take this long?
Listen.
You learn. And so one of the things that I hope that people hear, and this can translate to any business model, honestly, it's not just real estate. A lot of people waste a lot of time, and we know that that's the most valuable thing because it's the one thing we cannot buy back. If you just do your research and you take a moment to really write out what your plan is from start to finish. Look at your steps, look at your system, and then work it backwards. This is, I need, if at the end I need this, let me start here and make sure I have this in place, and it will cut back on a lot of your time if you're moving with the purpose. And so my last point is the other free thing that you can do is build your social networks. A lot of people miss that part. And a lot of the connections that I've made, one of my first deals that I got involved in was through social networking.
So,
and I was actually connected. I just put a post up there, looking for, brokers that I can build relationships with, because I wanted to make sure that whoever I sent people to, that it was quality people. And somebody connected me with DJ Envy's mortgage broker.
Wow. So,
and so now I have a relationship with somebody that's super knowledgeable, super willing to give back and pour into me. And you are missing a big opportunity to learn, to grow, to network and connect if you are not actively on social media, using it the proper way, and making sure that you actually, again, move with a purpose.
I love it.
So those are my 5 tips for that.
Sis, you dropped the game. And again, I'm going to say that $1 million worth of game on this podcast. So not only if real estate is not your niche, we're not, bashing you or anything like that, but truly, if you want to build your wealth, real estate needs to be involved somewhere in the game. I don't care if you're in hair, the hair industry. I don't care if you're in clothing, whatever the case may be, real estate will come in handy in any of those particular areas. So don't discount this episode if you feel like real estate is not your niche. If you're involved in another industry, real estate investing is something that you want to, think about. Even those people, just thinking about, if you have a clothing business or you have a hair care business, at some point you're going to need a warehouse to be able to store your, your inventory. A perfect example, I met a gentleman who owns warehouse space, multiple warehouse spaces. He's not using any of the space. You know what he does with it? He rents it out. Listen, killing the game. And then he took one real estate place. This is in Atlanta. Took one real estate space and he cut it up, I think, into like 3 different warehouses. So now he's getting like, you know what I mean? Triple the income for one single space. Unbelievable. But anyway, I love, what you said. You said, do not go out with a purpose. So, just, bring it home. Do not go out without a purpose. Like, listen, you just reinvigorated a thought that I had in my mind with that. Then you said, do your research and write out your plan. This right here is huge. This part right here. And look at your systems. So I talk about this book probably every other episode, and I'm going to talk about it again. It is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Again, we have another successful person on our podcast, and she is saying the same thing. And she is talking about beginning with the end in mind. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey talks about just this. I took this class probably now about 15 years ago while I was still in corporate America. And, just talking about how building a sales team, building a sales and marketing team, which every single business needs. Okay. And just beginning with the end in mind, the end result. So the end result is I want to get someone to spend, like Kim said, between 3,000 and number goes to infinity. That's what my kickback I want to have when wholesaling these properties. So, having those people already set up. So, just making sure if you haven't already, go ahead and check out that book. Also, Kim, I want you to give them your handles, your email address, whatever you want to share as far as your contact, and it will also be in the show notes. So if you miss it when she says it right now, it will be in the show notes for you to be able to click, for you to be able to access her on social media and email.
Okay. So on Instagram, I am Kim Mason Online, and my email is Kim Scott Online.
Got it.
At gmail.com.
Got it. Okay, so both of those will be in the show notes. And so, of course, everything that we do around here, we are nothing without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one of my favorite questions to ask our guests is, what is your favorite ayah or hadith that you live by? Like, what governs your life as a boss hijabi out in the world, being a serial entrepreneur, and, just being a real estate investor, and just being a wife and a mom?
So my favorite hadith, this one I heard probably a little over a year ago. When I heard it, it brought tears to my eyes. Like, I literally wept.
Mm-hmm.
Someone was reciting it
Mm-hmm.
in Arabic, and I could only read the footnotes. And it really touched my heart because business is such a big part of my life. It is
Mm-hmm.
what saved me from my poverty mindset.
Mm.
Becoming an entrepreneur helped for me to break the mold that society tried to put me in. But with that gift also can come a curse when you don't have boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And any good thing can become, anything that's halal can be made haram.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be careful in this day and age that promotes, you got to be wealthy, you got to be this, you got to be that, money, 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 business, 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 business. And it's just driving sometimes over the edge and making us forget what's truly important. And so I want to share this hadith with you all, and hopefully it'll help you to keep your heart and what's truly important in perspective. This hadith was reported by Zayd ibn Thabit, and it says, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever makes the world his most important matter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will confound his affairs and make poverty appear before his eyes. And he will not get away anything from the world but what has been decreed for him. So I'm going to say that one more time because I think that's really important. And it says, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever makes the world his most important matter, Allah will confound his affairs and make poverty appear before his eyes, and he will not get anything from the world but what has been decreed for him. However, whoever makes the hereafter his most important matter, Allah will settle his affairs and make him content in his heart, and the world will come to him, although he does not want it.
Yes. It's one of my
And
favorite. Go ahead, sis.
yes. And so for me, I know, let me just say this really fast, and I don't mean to be preachy, but it's, Allah is just so dear to my heart. Coming from a place where you had to go without, when you finally figure out how to generate income and, you remove control from others and it's now in your hands, and you say, I can make this, I can do that. It's so important that we humble ourselves and we humble our heart, and we know that everything, including provision, comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Real estate is not providing for you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is providing for you. Your husband is not providing for you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is providing for you, and he's using your husband as a vessel. And so it's really important that we don't get so tied up chasing this dunya. Like you could be stressing yourself out today. The business is not growing. This isn't going right. And you're putting your worth and your value in something that is going to perish. Everything of this world will perish. And the only thing that you'll be able to take with you, as we all know, is our good deeds. Yeah. So don't lose sight in business because it's so easy. Don't compromise your integrity for this dunya. Do not. Because in business, you're going to be propositioned with a lot of things. And you have to hold on to your morals. You have to hold on to this deen. You have to hold on to the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and know that if you always keep your heart, your eyes, your mind after and where you're going after this, that all the things that you want, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will gravitate to you because you're focusing on him versus focusing on the dunya and worshiping the dunya over him. So I hope that really helps someone else.
Listen, I pray so too. And one of the things that I will say to you is that, if anyone is listening right now and they feel like they've kind of lost their way and they may be experiencing some of the things that Kim talked about, is that it's never too late to turn back. Allah is always, always, he's waiting for you. I feel like, I don't know if anyone is like has ever watched The Color Purple, but there's a part where Celie and Suge, they talk about God. And God is kind of jealous when we don't turn our eyes toward him. And every time I think about this ayat and I think about exactly what you just said, I remember that scene in the movie where Suge says, God loves admiration. And when you walk by The Color Purple, it's almost like you're saying to God, whatever, this color's cute, but what I'm doing over here is a little bit better. And that's exactly what you're saying. And again, just beginning with the end in mind. We could even, this whole episode has come full circle, mashallah, right? Beginning with the end in mind, even past the investors, even past selling a home, past that is the akhirah. And what we're able to do in this life should buy our way into the akhirah, in essence, right? I had a brother tell me one time when I was first starting the whole Not Without My Hijab journey, and he said, you may not see the result of what you're doing with the whole Not Without My Hijab play and the book and all that kind of stuff in this life. You may be building your bricks, you may be building your billions right here in the dunya, but for the akhirah. So you may not reap
Yes.
that benefit and that reward. There may be some some striving that you have to do on this side, but just think about
Yeah.
the billions that you are building. You're building your home in Jannah. So jazakallah khair, Kim, for that reflection, mashallah. Again, one of my favorite reflections. So mashallah, so beautiful. And just really, whoever is listening to this episode, please, I pray that you go back and play this episode over and over again. I pray that you connect with Kim. Whatever it is that you are, looking to do, you can take some tidbits from this episode, inshallah. So, jazakallah khair, Kim, for your reflections, for your tips, mashallah. Again, $1 million worth of game that you dropped on this episode, inshallah. So I can't wait to air this, inshallah. So I look forward to seeing more from you, inshallah, for us connecting, inshallah. Maybe we do something together, inshallah, for our
Inshallah.
sisters. Yeah. So jazakallah khair. Again, if you have any last words, you can go ahead and chime in. If not, I will see and talk to you soon, inshallah.
I just want to say shukran for having me today and
Mhm.
for giving me a voice on your platform.
I love it. Jazakallah khair, my sister. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My inspirational quote of the week: we believe that there is only one creator who created us, and we acknowledge him. We all know that he created us, humankind, to serve him. Now, the question that comes to mind is how we can serve him. There is a reason behind the creation of this world and humankind. In the Holy Quran, Almighty Allah mentioned the reason of creation of this world, which is, and to Allah belongs the dominion of the heavens and the earth, and Allah is over all things competent. Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the alternation of the night and the day, are signs for those of understanding and those who reflect, who remember Allah while standing, or sitting, or lying on their sides, and give thought to the creation of the heavens and the earth, saying, our Lord, you did not create this aimlessly. Exalted are you above such a thing. Then protect us from the punishment of the fire. Found in the Quran, Surah 3, Ali Imran, verses 189 to 191. So, from the aforementioned verses of the Holy Quran, we came to know that Allah has created this world and humankind for His worship, and we should always remember Allah the Almighty in everything we do, inclusive of our work and contributions to the world, because He is the one who created day and night, heavens and earth, and all other things that we see and partake of in this world. He didn't create anything without purpose. Everything is created due to some reason and has some purpose in life. We as Muslims have a clear perception in our mind that the creation of this world and humankind is to praise and worship our Creator. This has been another spectacular episode of Boss Hijabipreneur, brought to you by BUNHD LLC and the Not Without My Hijab stage play. To find out more about services for women of faith in business and the next city up on the tour, visit www BUNHD.com. It is our hope here at BUNHD that after each episode, you will be empowered to have a deeper connection in your spirituality, personal, and business relationships. As women of faith, we have a responsibility to learn our religion, apply it to our daily lives, and to make a positive contribution in our local and global community.